Welcome back to Nanoflo, from Blink to Bots. In this series, we're learning how to control real-world hardware using Nanoflo and Arduino, with flowchart logic instead of complex code. Let's jump in. Today we'll be starting simple by blinking an LED using a digital output block. As always, when we land in Nanoflo, you are presented with a Pick a Device modal. In this case, I'm working with an Arduino Uno sitting on a Freenove project board. The first step I like to do is click to connect. This is just to make sure that we are getting the data that we would expect to receive in our analog inputs and digital inputs or outputs. So once that is connected, I should see very simply while moving around the joystick that I'm getting some live inputs in the analog sliders. And I should be able to turn pin 13 on and off, which in this case is my blue LED at the top here. So, how do we build a simple blink LED with flowchart rather than code? We head across to the flowchart tab at the top, and we're going to start by dropping in a start block. In this case, we'll call it blink. Next, we're going to initialize our device. We want to make sure that we start by turning output 13 off. In this case, it's an LED. In future, that might be a motor, or setting up a servo position, or setting variables initial values to initialize the code. Next, we'll add a delay. We need some time between our LED turning on and off. In this case, we'll start with half a second, or 500 milliseconds. Then, we can add another output to turn the LED back to on. Repeat the process of that delay of 500 milliseconds, and then return the loop back to the top to complete the cycle. Now I can test this all works by hitting the play button under the emulator tab. And what we should see happen is the onboard LED flashing on and off every 500 milliseconds. At the same time, we can see the flowchart moving between the nodes, setting the output to pin 13. Now that we have emulated the code and it works as expected, the next step is to send the code to the Arduino. Hit the download to device, and what you see is the connection close or disconnection from our device. Once complete, we will see our code running on our device. One of the benefits of Nanoflo is modifying your code in the flowchart. You can just jump in and change your delay. For example, we want to increase the delay to 1 second between the blinks. We can just simply double click and edit the nodes. And once again, when we download to device, we should see that change now on the onboard LED once the code uploads. We can see the flash is now a lot slower. There it is, the first flowchart-driven Arduino project in action. No complex code, no syntax errors, just logic flow. If you can talk the process through in pseudocode, listing each step that should occur, then you can easily create a simple output flowchart code like blinking an LED. So today we have used the digital output pin to blink an LED. You can now set pin states, add delays, and loop flowchart logic for repeated actions. In the next episode, we will interact with our onboard LED by adding a button input. We can then control the LED manually, learning how to flowchart outputs and digital inputs. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you're following along in your classroom or Makerspace.